I'm gonna.
Can you hold? Orange. Definitely orange day.
You need one here? Whew. Busy morning. Time for a LaCroix. I'm contractually obligated to do at least 12 of these per year to keep the flow going, so I just wanted to get it out of the way. I'll go orange today. All right, so today you're joining us in the middle of MōVI XL EV testing. This is Maverick. This is EV number 1. So this gimbal is the very first EV unit that we've put together and built. So EV ideally is pretty close to what we'll actually end up shipping. So the plan is to build around 6 of these EV engineering validation gimbals in the beginning, and then we beat the hell out of them, and then we flow into the next round of gimbals, which is DV, and then we'll go to PV, and then we actually launch the thing in production, and hopefully these gates allow us to make sure that everything's solid and going to work great. So for today, I thought we would showcase how to set up we've got a Scarlet here with a red 18 to 85. So I want to show how to get this on the gimbal, how we've got it set up. Some things are definitely still going to change, but we'll walk through how to put this on the gimbal. So you'll notice, the first thing you'll notice about MōVI XL, and I'm still learning about this gimbal, I'm not as experienced with it as MōVI Pro, so if I stumble along the way, that's why I haven't spent nearly as much time with it as Pro. But the first things you'll notice, the gimbal sitting here in kind of its natural state without anyone holding it, and that's because we've got axis locks on each motor. We've got axis locks and then stops if you want them. So this little mechanism here, I don't know if it's bright enough for you to see, but
yep.
you can spin this, and so now it's gone to free. So the tilt axis can be freely spun around. You go here, you can go lock, and that'll hold it wherever it is. Flip it the other way, you go there, you've got stops. So it won't go further than there, and it won't go further than there. And that's helpful for if you've got a particular setup or shot in which you want to limit the range, whether it's for safety or a lens is going to crash or a weird accessory you have on there is going to crash, something like that. So the thing I like about it though is it's super nice to put those stops in for setup, because you're moving pretty big camera packages and lenses and pretty big gimbals, and it's just nice if it can stay solid. And the reason that we were able to do this on MōVI XL is because we actually designed the motors to be hollow, to have hollow shafts. So if you want to get in here, you can actually see that you can fit like an SDI cable or an HDMI cable. We sized it so that an HDMI cable can be routed right through there, which I thought would be helpful for wiring. I know people are going to do a lot of things that we haven't even considered with this thing, so we wanted to make it as flexible and adaptable as possible so you can put wires wherever you need to. So let's talk about camera package a little bit. I've got, like I said, Scarlet. This is kind of our beater red, because we know people are going to go do egregious things while testing, and we don't want to destroy the super nice cameras. So we've got a very standard camera plate, 19mm carbon rods. We've got 3 motors mounted to it, focus, iris, and zoom motors. You can see some of the parts along the way are unanodized. Those are new parts, like fresh off CNC. We've got 2 screws mounted, 2 3/8 screws mounted into the Epic. We've got, and that camera plate is compatible with an Airy rail. So this is our rail that's also compatible with an Airy rail. But if you did have your own Airy rail and wanted to use it, you'll be able to mount that Airy rail to the camera stage of the MōVI XL. So let's see, what else should we touch on? I'll get the camera mounted, and then we'll kind of do a walkthrough of the gimbal. the tolerances on our first round of this camera rail are a little bit tight, so it doesn't slide quite as nicely as it should.
Question for you, Tab.
Yep, go ahead.
The design, how will it perform in high speed with the wind effect? Will you have a dome covering the camera?
Hold on, Mike. Let me just, I want to get this roughly in the right spot. Can you let go? Okay, so I'm going to clamp this guy down, which will lock that whole camera in place. The MōVI XL loves the wind effect. So when we sat down to write the product requirements, can you hold off on plugging stuff in? I don't want to show it all. When we sat down to write the product requirements, what I wanted this thing to do was go 100 miles an hour. And I think we're very close to achieving that with the camera packages that we've worked with. I don't know, what's the latest data on 85? Okay. So I think at 85, the motors weren't at full torque, so we still have room to grow there. Part of the problem there is we have my trusty 2005 white Toyota Tundra as our current test vehicle, and massaging this thing to above 85 miles an hour is a difficult task, so we need to mount this thing to something faster. If anyone's local in Seattle and's got an extremely fast vehicle to mount this thing to, let me know. So let's keep building. So I got the camera plate installed. I clamped this guy down, so this is the clamp. So this, when released, allows the whole mechanism to slide fore and aft. So I've got it roughly in the right spot. I'm gonna have to do a more precise balance when I get there. It's also got a stop up in the front to prevent the camera rail from sliding off if you were to accidentally tip it and not have it locked. Sure. So then we've got, no, it's okay. We've got the top rail, which is very similar in design to MōVI Pro. So we've got, it's a little bit different. There's ball detents in here, but it's the same idea where you're able to come down on the top rail, turn this, and then clamp it. So we'll do that real quick. These machine parts are a little undersized on our first batch, so this guy does not slide as nicely as it should. Man, that's just tight. Getting the interface between the machine parts and the carbon correct is very difficult. So that guy slots right down into the top rail. Okay, it's in there. I'm going to clamp these guys. Is it dumping outside? Hailing. Oh, we might not be doing a drive with this thing. It just started hailing. So then you can see the locking mechanism from the top rail is down in this top camera plate. So we just turn that and then we clamp down. And so now we've got the camera captured on top and bottom. And that was kind of one of the first things, or one of the things that we learned along the way in our quest to create really great gimbals, is you've got to capture the camera as solidly as possible. So that means top, bottom, lens, whatever you can do. You'll notice the top performing gimbals in the world, they do a really good job of tying the camera to the structure. So that's the goal here. And it's a tough engineering problem to solve because you want to tie the camera to the structure really rigidly, but it also needs to be something where people can quickly remove the package to go from gimbal to Steadicam to whatever you need to do. And so we've come up with a solution which allows you to do it pretty quickly. It's not perfectly quickly, but it's pretty good. So I'm gonna go and plug in the various motors. I had the wiring kind of already ready to go here. What's this guy? So that guy's focus. Plug him in down here. And this is the same exact, we call it the tilt stage unit. This is the same one that you'll find on MōVI Pro. So for people that have used Pro, XL will be very, 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 very similar. This guy. That one's Iris. Any other questions?
Nothing from Facebook.
Okay. Nothing from Facebook. Is it working? And then this guy. Oh, the Zoom I need to plug in.
People are asking about demoing.
Demoing?
Yeah. And
We got a question about price.
Yep. Price is not set yet. will have price set very soon, and we will send out a highly interesting email to the people that signed up for MōVI XL newsletter. So that will be coming soon.
Question about what car rig you're using.
Yeah. Hold on, let me get the... Mike, you wanna... Can you help it for a second? Can you try and get the... I just got a crashing conflict with that Zoom guy. This Limo into the motor.
Oh, okay. We just need to slide back. Just the camera I'm done.
There you go.
You know, we might need to slide the whole package just a little bit towards you.
Okay.
Right there. That's good.
Okay.
Drop in there.
It's all unlocked, so be careful.
Okay. That should clear there. That's Zoom, right?
Yeah, let's zoom.
Okay.
It's the last one open, right?
Yeah. Zoom's in.
I'll lock this guy down. Lock this guy down. All good. Okay, so we've got the same type of power outputs and camera connectivity outputs as on Pro. So I'm plugging in power right here. So that's the same 6 amp power that you'll find on MōVI Pro. HDMI here. And I'm going to go into the control port. So that'll allow us to interface with all the red RCP options via the MōVI controller or the Mimic. So MōVI Pro, built on the same kind of base software and firmware, or MōVI XL is built on the same kind of base software and firmware as MōVI Pro. So all the same ecosystem that's built out around Pro will also work on XL. So let's start checking balance. So I'm going to remove the tilt clamp. Definitely need to go back a little bit.
Question tab.
Yep.
How much does the MōVI XL on its own weigh?
I don't know the exact weight right now. There's been so many iterations. Like the very early one was around 12 pounds on its own. And what are we at now?
25 pounds?
Just the MōVI XL, 25 pounds? Really? You sure?
I think so.
I see, I got him to say think. That's breaking a hole in the dam. I don't think it's 25 pounds, but I think it's a little bit less than that. I think it's around 19 or 20, but I could be wrong. Are you including batteries?
Yes.
Okay, forever. So the system is running off of two 6S 10 amp hour lithium polymer batteries. These are similar to the packs that would power an Alta, and we've been testing, you know, for hours and hours and hours, and it runs the whole system. If I had to venture a guess right now, I haven't done an exhaustive like power budget analysis, but I think it probably runs it for 3 hours at least. We'll have solid defensible numbers before we launch though. Okay, so we've got tilt. Tilt's pretty close. Okay. So let's check roll. I'm going to unlock roll.
If someone asking if there's going to be a drone for this.
I mean, there has to be a drone for this. How boring is this if it can't fly? It's got to fly. So roll, tilt, both good. So the way I'm checking tilt, I want to be able to put tilt in any position and have it stay, which it's doing right now. And same with roll. I want to be able to put roll in various positions and have it stay. So now we've just got pan locked. And we can pop in here, undo the pan lock. So now we've got, and we do have some access locks in there, but I won't engage them. So right now we're set up to have unrestricted pan, tilt, and roll. We're a little out of balance on tilt. So a quick trick on Pro and XL, when you're really close on tilt balance, like if you're just a little bit forward or back heavy, you can just release the top clamp and tweak it. Like I just pulled the whole package forward a little bit and then clamped it while that was going on. And you can dial in very minute balance changes like that. So let's do a quick walk around of features on MōVI XL. Like I talked about earlier, we've got two 6-cell, so these are 25.2, 22.2 nominal volt battery packs. They've got fuel gauge indicators on the packs, so you know their state of charge at all times. Kind of walking down from pan. Further up here, we should talk about this for a second. But we've got the way it'll mount MōVI XL. We've got a MōVI XL plate here that comes out of the pan motor, and then that can attach to a variety of things. It can attach to a Mitchell mount. We are designing a quick release system for XL. This is the kind of very early 3D printed prototype. So if you can imagine, these two parts will be mounted to MōVI XL and whatever MōVI XL is going to mount to, and it's a locking dovetail type system. So it slides in, you know, so you'll be sliding. You'll be picking the gimbal up, going in here, sliding it in, and then there's a clamping mechanism which then clamps that in place. So it's kind of, you know, interesting challenge to create something that's super robust to hold gimbal and a 50-pound camera package, but is still fairly easy for operators to install, because it's really a pain in the butt to try and hold this thing up and thread the Mitchell mount in. Whoever designed the Mitchell mount should contact me offline and we'll have a quick chat. It would not have passed a Freefly design review. So that's quick release there. Then coming down, we've got some E-chain here that protects all the wiring as it comes into the power distribution hub. So this has got some fuses in it and is distributing power around the system. Come down to the GCU. Actually, let's boot this guy up. I'm gonna plug these guys in. And this is a real live EV gimbal, so I just want to point out that it could burst into flames at any moment, because I really don't know exactly what has happened to this thing prior to this particular moment. Battery connector does not appear to reach. Eric, how do you guys deal with this? Is there a secret trick? No? Shane? This moment in MōVI XL Facebook Live is brought to you by Shane Colton. Shane, how do I make it work? Shane, it doesn't work. The leads on the battery differently? Okay.
I think that Sean put one of those on there, like custom. Same.
No, it's the same. Have you guys actually been testing, or you just been drinking beer? Okay. Minor break here. If it reaches that one. So they're custom. I see. I'll get it. Hand me that guy.
Does reach?
I
Or
mean,
is it this one?
kind of. Does yours reach?
Yes.
Mine's plugged in. All right. So gimbal control unit, very similar to what you're used to seeing on MōVI Pro. So there's COM1 and COM2 ports where you can plug in external receivers, hook up Mimic to this MōVI controller, maybe some other cool things that might be coming soon. You didn't hear that here, don't tell. Question? Yeah.
Question on all use cases for MōVI XL.
I mean, you can mount it to a pipe and then carry it with a group of people. You can mount it to cars. You could mount it to a sufficiently large drone and fly it around the sky. You could mount it to techno cranes, to regular cranes, to jibs. You could mount it to a sufficiently strong camel or horse. You could mount it to the front of a 2005 Toyota Tundra. You can mount it to an 80/20 rack, like that thing over there, and roll it around. A group of people can carry it. That's one that I'm kind of secretly really excited to see what people will do, because I know people are going to do ridiculous things. So the only real change at this point in the software is there's some safety features to make sure that when you activate this thing, I'm going to swing it around so it's actually pointing the right way here. But you see we've got one large battery indicator, and then we've got a button here called Activate Motors. The MōVI XL can produce so much torque that it's actually dangerous. So we've had to think about ways to make sure that the user is very aware of the state that the gimbal's in at all times. So I'm gonna activate motors. A little thing pops up, says this will activate motors and enable high torque state. Are you brave? If you're brave enough, you hit this little button called activate, and then that little menu shows up and says warning, high torque. And you can see there that what we've got currently programmed is it does a slow, oh hi there. It does a slow ramp from 0 torque to full torque. Shane put in some nice little code to prevent people's fingers from departing their body there. So thanks, Shane. Even though the battery leads are too short, I appreciate the torque ramp. What?
Do you have any idea how much the whole setup weighs? Gimbal camera batteries?
Gimbal camera batteries. I'm not going to ask Eric. That's what I know about that question. Let's see. Feels pretty light. Do you know what this camera? Does anyone know what the camera package weighs? If we know what the camera package weighs, I can figure it out. We can weigh it after the show, and I'll post it up too. I'm guessing it's 50 pounds right now, roughly. The stuff from the Flow Cine guys, that's heavy stuff. It's a lot of metal up here. So if we're counting that in the mix, this system works great. But whew, that's heavy stuff. Like these pan plates and stuff, that's just solid aluminum. But on that note, what's this guy called again? Tranquilizer. They just sent us a tranquilizer to test, and this thing's been awesome. So we've been testing this as a vibration isolation solution for MōVI XL, and this has been really good. You can add these pan plates essentially that add inertia to the pan axis, and they give something for the gimbal to react against, and it's improved the pan performance quite a bit. Just so you know, this is something that we did. We can't blame the Flow Cine guys on that. That's real ugly. That's on us. We need to paint that black immediately. So anyway, let's keep going through the gimbal. Power distribution, GCU. You can see the motor drives. They live in these boxes with the fins. The fins are to help get heat out of the system. They connect right into the motors. Motors are enormous. We've got a GPS right here on the roll beam. So that's kind of the optimal place to get good coverage while filming with MōVI Pro, or MōVI XL, sorry, got Pro in my head. This is important if you're doing very high speed filming, very high G accelerations. You want GPS to help the horizon stay level, essentially. These tubes are all 50 millimeters, just so you guys have some kind of context. There's my hand for reference. These are 25 mil tubes. You can see we've got a huge hollow shaft coming through this tilt bearing here. The GCU, as I stated, is all very similar to MōVI Pro. The bottom rail is kind of similar to a very standard airy rail. The top rail is very similar to the top rail on a MōVI Pro, just a very much beefed up version. Let's see what else I wanted to hit. The gimbal will have auto tune, just like the MōVI Pro does. So that'll be a nice feature. You'll be able to tune the gimbal for different camera and lens packages in about 10 seconds with the press of a button. And then we've got Mimic, which will connect and control this thing. MōVI controller, which can connect and control this thing. Kind of all the nice features of MōVI Pro will carry on to this gimbal too. So I think it's, you want to move it around? You want to move it around a little, Mike? Just via the MōVI controller so people can see?
Maybe the camera.
Yeah.
Just,
Are the plates very standard from Instagram?
Yeah, they are. Well, there are plates, but they are compatible with ARRI. So you can see Mike's moving around. We're calling focus, iris, and zoom now. I'm trying to think how I can show how much torque the thing has. I mean, one way, you can clearly put, hold still, just go slow. You can put a can of LaCroix and it handles that quite easily.
I could have delivered that to you.
Oh, hey, why don't you take this for a lap, Mike?
Yeah.
Bring it back to me. This is gimbal training. If he messes it up and spills this LaCroix, oof. Easy, Mike. Don't get overconfident.
I know, I'm just
Don't
taking
get
it slow.
overconfident.
Nice, slow and easy.
He's gonna burn out his quaternion, and we're
Cinematic
back.
move.
We're back. So this, like, that's what we're talking about when we say EV testing. LaCroix turntable, wire length testing, that kind of thing. Really, really in-depth testing. We were gonna go out and shoot, but it is turned into, let's go look outside. It's turned into a bit of a disaster. Look at this guy. He's supposed to be working, he's just watching Facebook Live. Well, that's a, wow. It's happening right behind you. I don't think we're gonna do that. This thing has like fairly janky hand-built wiring on it, and I don't want to take it out in the snowstorm, hailstorm, and break it. So, what do we want to show instead? I don't know. What other questions do people have?
We got a question. One
Yep.
person on the remote,
Yeah.
or can one person control certain functions while another person controls other functions?
Yes. If I understand the question correctly, you will be able to split up functionality among multiple people, just like you will be able to with MōVI Pro. So if your desire is to have, you know, for example, let's say someone controlling pan and tilt on the MōVI controller, and then someone else using the Mimic to control focus, iris, or zoom, you could definitely do that. So you'll be able to split up control of pan, tilt, and roll, focus, iris, and zoom, as well as camera controls into kind of a distributed network system where you could have them going everywhere. Any other questions?
What's the design weight that this will hold for camera package?
50 pounds. So it's designed to hold a 50-pound camera package. You can see, like, actually this gives you some idea of the torque. So I'm just going to push against the tilt axis. You can see that, like, prior to letting go, it swings the whole gimbal, which requires quite a bit of force. So I've been really amazed with how much torque these motors are producing. These motors designed in-house by David Bloomfield, also known as Rango or Scrat. He's a brushless motor expert going back on probably 10 years when we first became friends. So we asked him to spit out some awesome motors for MōVI XL size gimbal, and a few days later these magically appeared, and he even was kind enough to add hollow shafts to them, which was a very nice touch, Scrat. I don't know. I think that's. What else do we got?
When is MōVI XL going to be released?
So I'm going to send out. Well, I'm not. I'm aiming to send out an email to everybody that wrote into the newsletter sign up early next week with kind of next steps if you're interested in purchasing MōVI Pro. So we're going to try and get a really early start on procurement and supply chain, so we make sure we have enough parts in stock for people that want XL. We got caught with our pants down a little bit by underestimating MōVI Pro initial launch quantities, so I want to avoid that if possible with MōVI XL. So we'll be sending out some info next week, so make sure that you do sign up for MōVI XL newsletter. Evan, if you could post that link there in the live, that'd be great. You're on it? Yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad I got him to tune back in and stop watching Facebook Live. That's helpful. I don't know, I think that's it. Just a giant gimbal. It's awesome.
One more
You can-
question.
yeah.
Jeb. Is there a way to put a slip ring in the pan motor for putting wires to it?
No, it's hollow. You don't need a slip ring. Just put the wire right through. Slip rings suck. A lot of people will tell you, like, oh, slip rings so great, so great. No, wrong. They suck. They fail on you exactly when you don't want them to. At least that's my experience with slip rings. They're also expensive and fiddly and just, I'm not a fan. Not a big fan.
Can you explain why you made this?
Why?
Yes.
Why we made this?
Why over a MōVI Pro? Why? Yeah.
Oh, why you need this? Oh, why you need this? Because you have a huge camera that you couldn't possibly fit on MōVI Pro. It'd be ridiculous to even try. And you know that you're outmatched from the second you sit down to do it. So you think, I need a bigger gimbal. And then you think, where do I get a bigger gimbal from? And you're like, oh, there's no really good big gimbals that are simple, intuitive, and easy to use. What should I do? And then you tune into Freefly's Facebook Live and see the MōVI XL, and you're like, damn, the world is amazing.
Someone's asking about wheels control.
No wheels compatibility right now, but there's definitely aftermarket solutions like PLC wheels, alpha wheels, and we have the API for MōVI ecosystem that will be launching around March 6th. So people will be able to plug their accessories and controllers and all kinds of things into both MōVI XL, MōVI Pro, and Mimic to allow wheels control or whatever you want to do. Can we grab, even if it's not working, the little bush palette? Just to show an example of what will be possible with API. API is actually super exciting. We need to do a little talk on that another time. If you look on my Instagram, there's some API examples of some cool stuff. Kind of, there's like a new creation every single day. Oh, he's gonna grab the wrong one. Oh, no, he's not. Okay. All right. I thought he was gonna grab something that we didn't want to show necessarily.
Philip Bloom's on.
What?
Philip Bloom's on. Hi,
Hey, Philip. How you doing? What? What's that, Hugh?
I think he wants a MōVI Pro.
Oh, yeah. Everyone does, Philip. Just kidding. I saw you were having some back problems, so I didn't want to send you one and further compound those. I thought I'd give you some time to heal up, get those discs plumped up and in shape before we get you a MōVI Pro. This
won't be able to connect.
Yeah, that's fine. I just want to showcase the idea. So this is what we're hoping to see with the advent of API. This is something we'll have coming in the pipeline very soon. Watch my Instagram if you want more info on it. But this is a very, very quick design that we knocked out as a very, very small and lightweight unit that you could travel the world with and control just focus or iris or just zoom. And so this is just a potentiometer or an encoder that plugs into Mimic, but the result is you can have the world's cutest, tiniest little hand unit that you throw in your backpack and you can give out, and if you need to control focus, iris, or zoom with this little guy. And I'm really excited and hopeful that people will build out a ton of little accessories like this to solve the type of problems that they're encountering on set. Because one of the things that's frustrating about growing Freefly, we can't tackle every single problem, so it's great when other people jump in and solve problems that people are interested in being solved. Like, see people jump in and solve wheels and other things along the way has been awesome. Joysticks, that kind of thing. So, because we're kind of constantly faced with figuring out what we spend our very limited time here on, and we kind of choose to usually pick the biggest and most difficult problem to tackle and then hope that third-party providers and people out there will solve those smaller ones. What's up? Anything else? Any other questions? No? That's it? All right, we're done. I'm going to lunch. Hi guys. Thanks for playing. This guy's crazy.